Hi everybody, this is Bruce with habowskistudio, and today I painted this, and I'm going to show you how I did that with a limited palette. So enjoy the video.
Hello everyone, this is Bruce with habowskistudio. Thank you for joining me for another painting demonstration. If you're new to the channel, thank you for checking it out, and I invite you to subscribe for everyone else. Thanks for watching. First, I want to kind of apologize for not putting out some more videos lately. Been very busy with, I think it's about 5 uh, exhibition opportunities that I'm involved in. So that's taken up a little bit of my time, finishing up paintings in the studio, that kind of thing. So a lot of them are already in progress paintings. So I just didn't think it was made sense to put out a video of that and have me working on something already started. So I wanted to do something sort of fresh. And don't forget to check out the Patreon link down below in the description box and help kind of support my channel to bring you the great content that I hope you're enjoying. And yeah, so in this painting, you can see that I've already done the sketch end process for the uh, subject. I've done that 1,000 times in my other videos, so you can check those out and see how I did that. This one was more kind of about how I'm applying the paint and that sort of thing. And the palette will be coming up shortly in the video, so be sure to check that out. Again, a limited palette. I'm finding I favor those quite a bit lately and really enjoy just not having to concentrate on too many colors. Though I have used an expanded palette, but right now I'm in a little stretch of limited palettes, so check that out too later on. Doing my favorite thing ever for bringing out some shapes in a painting after I sketch in with paint is cutting back around shape to reveal, cutting it with negative shape to reveal the positive. It's a really nice effect. Then I can go back and forth with overlaid paint in the positive elements in the painting. There I am testing tone of the blue, getting that in there. This house is actually over by, well, this collection of buildings, I should say. It's kind of like a horse farm, I believe. It's over next town over where I do a lot of kayaking. And as I pass this scene, I've always said I want to try to paint it one day. And kind of what stopped me is the color of the buildings is very kind of muted, sort of yellow ochre. And it's very, very hard. The light's never in a perfect spot to really reveal the form. So it's taken me a long time to attempt something in terms of relating to these buildings. So this is my first painting of that scene, and you'll see adjustments later on. And I've been kind of doing a little fair amount of snow paintings too lately. I've kind of been really enjoying this season. Not a whole lot of plein air painting. We had some super cold spells, so that was a little too chilly for me to paint. Just sketching in a few more shapes where I might want some dried grass poking through the snow, so I'm placing that in the painting, so then I'll have some idea where I want to cut around when I place the snow later on. Here I am placing some patches of snow. And it's always good to kind of start a little, of course, dark in value, so you have somewhere to go with your light tones. So you want to keep that in mind. And here I am cutting around the grass I just painted. And of course that's a little bit of a damp wash, so intermixed with the white just a bit, which is a nice effect, and I can strengthen contrast later. And also just want to let you guys know, be sure to follow me on Facebook and check out I post a lot of my kind of random plein air paintings I might do that I don't do any videos of, like when I'm out painting with painting buddies, that sort of thing. So you can see paintings that I've done in situations like that, and just kind of keep up with my exhibits and all that good stuff. And also, I have some really good content on my Patreon uh, page that I've done. That's where, if you support the channel, you get exclusive content to vlogs that I do only for that platform, and I also will be doing exclusive painting videos only for Patreon. So take a look, see what you think. Let me know what you think. Here I am with still applying, getting patches of snow in there. You notice I'm not just taking a big wide brush and slathering the paint on and being done with it. It's really keen for me to pay attention to the size of the brush stroke in relation to the painting. I think sometimes you can go too big and then the focus is too much on the brush work and not the subject of the painting. So there is a balance that I like to try to adhere to. Cutting around some more grass shapes. And the brushes I'm using are just some of my favorites. Well, the Robert Simmons line in general, I really am happy with. I have the Signet bristle brushes, and these are the Sapphire brushes that are kind of a nice semi-soft hairs, great for blending and applying paint in small areas. I'll go over those in detail what the sizes are later on in the video. What I like about winter scenes is you really get a graphic. There's a lot of potential to get a really graphic look to the scene because, of course, the snow is covering the ground, and it's really an opportunity to have some interesting design, that sort of thing. So something to be aware of. Just trying to, in some parts, contour the brush stroke to mimic the land. So that's something else to pay attention to when you're applying paint. Try not to just randomly apply paint. Think about what you're doing. If you have trouble, like don't really understand or having trouble in your own paintings, also something else I'm doing only on the Patreon page is one of the reward tiers is you can email me a photo of a painting in progress, and I will critique that. I'll put it in my paint program and overlay suggested improvements, things that are going correct, all that sort of thing. So you can check out the details for that rewards tier on Patreon. I think that would be helpful for some people out there who might be having trouble. And then I'll just email that back to you, and we can communicate a couple times, make the improvements, email me back, and go from there. Here I am cutting. Sometimes when you try to create a thin shape like I did with that edge of the snow on the roof, don't worry if it's like too fat and too wobbly or something because you don't have a real small brush to get in there. Don't forget you can cut back around and clean that shape up and make it thin by painting like in this case, the yellow of the house facing the light. So that's one way to create shapes. And it allows you to not have to carry too many brushes out in the field. If you were plein air painting, it's all in the control of the brush a lot of times. Think about what layers you want to put down first. Of course, depends on your subject you're going to be painting, but just getting a little detail in those buildings. And again, it was still washed out. This flat gray day, there's really no defining form in those houses. I had to push the envelope a bit. Now I'm just kind of getting some color in that suggested band of trees I put in originally. And you see I'm not completely filling in the whole area. I'm putting that color and moving it around. I try to be efficient. I try to put that color down where it's needed in the painting in all parts rather than put a little bit down, then adjacent to that work on that area of the tree. Like if I was only working on the left-hand side, it's a lot of going back and forth to the palette. So by practicing these techniques in the studio for efficiency, that's really going to help you when you go outdoors and paint, because you'll be able to quickly uh, get down your subject. Just getting some general dark tone in for some tree limbs. You obviously aren't going to get too varied in the color of the tree trunks. You can a little bit, but of course with the scale of the painting, uh, it would be very tricky, and you want to watch out getting too much attention on one little element of painting that is not the focus of the painting. So then take away from everything else. And again, if some of your branches are too big, too thick, or that sort of thing, always clean it up by going back in with the sky color around there. And if you choose to do that, then you want to be careful to put your sky patches in uh, decisively, and don't go back and forth. Put a stroke in, wipe off your brush a little bit, pick up a little more sky color, and put another stroke. Now here I'm trying to get a little distance in the tree line to show a suggestion of the trees that are forward near the property line, and then sort of in the middle of the painting, points where you can go further back into the woods to give a way in to go deeper into the painting. And my photo reference wasn't the greatest, being a flat gray day, so I'm kind of I've embellished in part some of the richness of the color, because of course a lot of times in winter there's color there, but it can be quite similar in value. You got to bring out contrast and things of that nature. And you see I'm going over the tree limbs that I previously painted. Don't stress about that. They can always be reinforced later, and also kind of help anyway, because it'll help integrate, not seem too pasted on. You'll see later on. So it's really starting to get some life here. I'm really kind of liking where I'm at this point. And some parts you can see, like I want to set off certain limbs, so I either paint dark around it or I paint light around it. So light against dark, dark against light. I tend to do that a lot in my paintings to bring out edges. Sometimes to make a color lighter, I'll darken what's around it, and that can help. So it depends. You have to, of course, on what you're painting. And I always love this part when you're painting snow scenes and you have some snow on a roof, but not a lot. So you have a real opportunity to design some patches on the rooftops. I like that effect a lot. Yeah, I could have gotten into, how you get icicles dripping off because you get some warm days towards late winter. But being such a small scale, I didn't want to get too involved with that. I could see if you were more cropped in on the house, that would be a nice effect to show some uniqueness to the house and some reality to the season. But trying to simplify a bit, And of course that paint's wet, so I'm trying to put dark on top, and I just pick up more dark and put another stroke. So it's a nice way to give darkness without like really being black or something. So you don't want that to appear to be just pasted on. Be careful of that. Now I'm just kind of I put in a chimney there, add a little interest. Just cleaning up a few edges. So you can see how it's really hard to define some of those houses because of the dullness of the day, very flat gray, and the color of the buildings. But that'll get resolved later on, so keep watching. Just little touches here and there, cleaning up some lines. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that little building I was just working on, it shows in front of the building on the right, and that building on the right is forward of that. So it's amazing, some things we don't pick up as we're painting. We get too caught up in the actual painting process, but always notice stuff in playback when I'm making the video. It's kind of funny. But again, that'll get resolved also. Now here I am putting in some patches of cooler tone to suggest distance. And it's just all this kind of soft integration, different values, similar values. I'm not over blending with the brush. I'm trying to put strokes, bring in new strokes, that sort of thing. I used to blend too much, just back and forth, and I still do that on occasion sometimes, but I'm way more careful now. I just pick up more paint, a little different value paint, that sort of thing, to create the same effect, and it's much more interesting to look at. Putting in the little fence, again, I'm got some dark paint. I keep going until it starts intermixing with the white a little too much. And you see how faint they are, but when I come back and reinforce ever so subtly, it really is integrated into the environment and doesn't seem like a line drawing. So very nice technique to use. Little hints across pieces in the fence. I'm really feeling the urge to do some larger paintings, especially in my plein air painting. But it's always fun to do these small pieces. They end up being like little gems. Again, just finishing up the fence there. I just want to take a moment to thank everybody for subscribing to my channel. It means a whole lot that I can help you out with your painting and you get some value out of the content I'm producing. It's really important to me that I share some knowledge I've gained. I hope that I'm presenting it in a manner that's understandable, that sort of thing. And feel free to comment and suggest things you'd like to see painted. Say if it's more barns or something like that, and I'll do my best to achieve those goals. Just putting in some more darks here and there to get like some suggesting evergreen trees, that sort of thing. And I will have a little bit of time lapse coming up here, but there will be an analysis of the painting at the end. I'm really trying to start doing more of that to talk about what I feel went right in the painting, what kind of needs more work, that sort of thing. So we'll get to that. This is a nice effect, really kind of getting that diffused shadow to really give a sense of depth going back in the woods. Really enjoying that. Now here's where I get some subtle little crisp highlights here and there on the snow as it raises up at a different angle to the light that is there in the sky. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up the painting here with some time lapse showing me putting the snow on the limbs of the tree to bring them forward. So I want to thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be getting back to some plein air painting pretty soon. It's starting to warm up here in Maine, and take care. Again, for the people that are new to watching my channel, I invite you to subscribe. And everyone else, take care, and please leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Bye now.
Okay, here's the palette I used. Titanium white, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. And just those three brushes from the Robert Simmons Sapphire series. The one on the left is a size 6 filbert. And the middle one is a size 4 round. And the one on the right is a size 8 round. Okay, I just wanted to go over things I really am happy with this painting. Number one, I think this is going to be the third painting that I used a limited palette, which I Told you in the video was titanium white, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. I just really like the effects, the color palette that it gives. And this was, I worked from a photograph off my tablet, the one I'm filming with. And it was very flat gray. We did have a threat of some sleet and everything that never happened. But so it was that typical gray winter day. And there wasn't a lot of strong light and shadow. Overall, I really like the piece, and I'm not sure if the camera's picking up some nice... When I was painting, I really tried to work with very little medium, if I needed any at all. Just tried to work with the paint to create these strokes, lay them in there, let them interact a little bit with the wet paint already on there. I didn't try to noodle around too much. Different ways I tried to handle the trees. I think you'll see in the video where I did the tree with, you know, the darker limbs and such, and then went back in and darkened up the background trees because they were kind of the base sienna color with just a little overlay of not much different value of different color, and I didn't think it was dark enough. So then I had to go back in and put strokes back over with the tree limbs, but that's okay. Having these little bits of snow on the limbs is a nice effect, so they stand away from the background tree line. And the yellow houses over here, there was no real strong planes because of the flat gray. So it's very subtle, but I made up some value shifts just to give some dimension to those buildings a little bit. I like how I handled the little fence here, left a little opening right here so that I can go back there. And I just really like how it came out. I think it's a little more meaty, so to speak, in terms of paint application. And really nice effect. There's only a few things I want to adjust. Over here, there's a building behind these buildings. I think I'm going to take out that roof line up there and adjust accordingly and alter the scene a bit. I might even take this out. I think there's not enough information to suggest what it is. And then this house will just be like a little L, sort of a little bump out. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. I'll stare at it for a bit. I don't want too much clutter, and I feel like there is a little bit of clutter over here, so we'll adjust that, simplify. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. After I took a look at it, and like I explained to you what I liked and didn't like about it, I totally made a big change and took out all those extra buildings. I thought it was too distracting, especially for the size of the panel, but also in general. And now I think it's a better composition, much more interesting, and you just got to be bold sometimes. If you don't like something, fix it. Just go for it. And I did, and I like how it turned out. I'm glad I made the adjustment. I think it looks much better now.